The NHL offseason is in full swing. The Islanders making moves. You know, they had the number one overall pick in the NHL draft, and now they've re-signed one of their top players. So joining me to break it all down is the New York Post Islanders beat writer, my guy, Ethan Sears. Ethan, what's going on, man?
Not too much. Thanks so much for having me, Dexter.
Oh, man, glad. Always good to talk some Isles hockey with you. And the big news here is the Islanders re-signed defenseman Alexander Romanov to an 8-year, $50 million extension. How would you grade this deal, Ethan? Good or bad? What grade are you giving it? Professor Ethan time now. What grade are you giving it?
Dexter, I think I'd probably come in at around a B plus. I think it's a solid deal for both sides. For the Islanders, they lock up Alexander Romanov for pretty much the entirety of his prime at a pretty reasonable number, and that number is going to look better as the deal goes on and the salary cap continues to go up. For Alexander Romanov, he gets a pretty nice payday, 50 million, and some long-term job security here. The only reason that I probably would have it as a B plus instead of an A is because it doesn't assume, I guess, a little more development on the part of Romanov. You do want to see his game continue to progress, and he did miss a little bit of time with some nagging injuries last season. But that said, I think you probably assume that he should continue to progress, and assuming that those injuries don't turn into a huge issue, which there's no reason to really think they will, this deal will end up looking pretty solid over time.
Yeah, hopefully he can stay on the ice. You're right. As the cap goes up, the annual average value for him will look a lot better, but he gets himself a nice payday. So it feels like it should be good for both sides. But here's the other question, Ethan, that all the Islander fans want to know. Okay, what's next for the Isles in free agency? What are the biggest remaining holes that the Islanders have to fill as we go through the summer?
Well, Dexter, the Islanders probably have once they account for Simon Holmstrom, Max Siplikov, and Emil Heineman, who were their three other restricted free agents who they still need to sign and set some money aside for. They probably have about 9.5 million to work with, which is basically what was allocated for Noah Dobson before he got traded. So they've got some room to do something. The interesting part of this is that their biggest need right now is probably right side defense. That's the hole that is left by trading Noah Dobson. And there's really probably not going to be an available right side D in free agency who, looks like that kind of number one, 20 plus minute a game guy. Now that just 20 minutes ago, it came across that it looks like Aaron Ekblad is going to re-sign with Florida. He was really the only guy that fit into that category at that position. So now if you're Matthew Darche, the question is, okay, do you want to take a swing on somebody at that position? Do you want to bring back Tony DeAngelo for another year at probably a fairly low cost and maybe try to use that money elsewhere, maybe try to go for a scoring forward, a Nikolai Ehlers, whoever that may be? Do you want to maybe spread that money around a little bit and try to improve all areas? Maybe get a middle six forward, maybe a D who's sort of middle of the road cost wise. So there's a lot of different ways the Islanders could go here. That right side D is a position that they do need to figure out, but I don't know that they're going to be spending tons of money on it just because when you look at who's out there, I'm not sure that there's anybody who you look at and say is worth spending all that money on. So that creates an interesting dynamic here as we head into July 1st.
Oh, it is interesting indeed, and you make up a lot of good points there. Will they decide to spread the money and try to fill other holes on the team? But we'll see. Either way, an interesting start to this offseason. Well, started with the draft, but now Alexander Romanov, 8-year, $50 million deal. Extension is done. So the offseason will continue for the Islanders. And you know he's going to be on top of it. That is Ethan Sears, our New York Post Islanders beat reporter. Ethan, always a pleasure talking some Islanders hockey with you. We will do this again soon, I'm sure.
You bet. Thanks, Dexter.